Netanyahu was asked in a TV interview last night if he plans to run for office again and if he expects to win. His answer to both, yes. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Jody. We appreciate that report. To further discuss, we are joined this morning by Director of Military and Strategy Programs at the Middle East Forum, Lieutenant Colonel Eric Navarro, as well as Director of the Center of American Security, America First Policy Institute, and Middle East expert, former White House advisor and former advisor at DOD, Mr. Jacob Olidort. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So first question is to you, Colonel. Hamas has blatantly broken the agreement, it seems. Where does the peace deal go from here?
Well, phase two, full idea, and I never expected Hamas to disarm. There's no incentive for them to truly disarm, right? Because as soon as you take away their weapons, they're under threat from not only their own population, but the U.S. and Israel. I would look for the U.S. and Israel, though, to take care of Hamas as covertly and quietly as possible. There's a broader strategic framework that I think President Trump and his administration are working towards, which is to get Gaza off the front page so they can move towards Abraham Accords 2.0. There's already, you see diplomatic maneuvers towards Saudi Arabia, some of these other countries, Indonesia, whatnot. He's trying to truly transform the Middle East. And I think the impediment to that is to have frontline headlines about Gaza conflict on a constant basis. So I would seek to try to keep the framework of the ceasefire in place and then systematically root out Hamas as quietly as possible.
That makes sense. Jacob, what's your take on, I mean, can we actually maintain the ceasefire if we don't eliminate Hamas completely?
Well, I think the president was very clear that the Hamas will disarm either one way or another. And of course, right now what we're seeing is Hamas doing what they do usually and playing tricks and extending this first phase because they know that when it moves to the second phase of the ceasefire, that is basically the beginning of the end for them. And so I think this is nothing new, of course, in the Hamas playbook. You know, it's noteworthy that even on the first day that they began, Israel began withdrawing from Gaza. Hamas began its executions, began recruiting fighters. And so we'll just see how this plays out. But it's definitely a different ballgame right now when Hamas is executing Palestinians, Gazan people. And I think that is that's the real story that's been happening in Gaza.
Well, if the ceasefire continues to fall apart, what will the next steps be for both Israel and Hamas in terms of military strategy?
Well, I think you'll get a return to fighting, right? But Israel has proven that they can root out the remnants of Hamas, street by street, house by house. Now, I don't think they want to do that again as all-encompassing as they were before the ceasefire. I think they're looking to maintain the prospect of the ceasefire holding. But again, they have to do what they have to do. You saw they're matching force with force. As soon as Hamas attacks, they are launching airstrikes. They will go back into the areas that they withdrew. But I would look for a different approach. I would support the anti-Hamas clans and militias amongst the Palestinians to go after Hamas themselves, right? That's what those public executions by Hamas were all about, trying to reassert or keep their control of the territory.
Right. Yes.
So that's what I would do. I would look to enforce them that and use them to go after the Hamas.
Right. It's clear that the president is behind this aggressive approach. But what about the people of Israel? It appears as if Netanyahu was juggling something here.
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob.
Well, I think that obviously Israel does not want to be in Gaza longer than it needs to be. And I think Monday was a huge inflection point. The return of the 20 living hostages. Of course, the remains of the deceased ones are there. But I think the important focus here is what does Hamas do? And I think right now, although it's returning to its usual playbook of targeting Gazan civilians, it is doing so when it is the most militarily and diplomatically isolated that it's been in history. So I think the focus now is how do our partners in the region respond, and really how much does it try to push the envelope, knowing that it's really on its own at the moment.
Well, we'll have to wait to see, but it's suspenseful to say the least. Colonel Navarro, Jacob, thank you so much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Former security advisor John Bolton might spend the rest of his life in prison if convicted of mishandling classified